First hour Algebra 2. Today should be the 12th, Tuesday, and today we're going to review factoring trinomials by doing multiplying and adding, and then look at how those would factor into a rational expression type problem. Okay, so remember when we have three terms to our problem, that middle term is our add number and that last term is our multiply number. You probably remember that. And we play this little game. We want to multiply to get 10 and we want to add to get -7. So we try to figure out two numbers that will allow us to do that. And remember, it's possible to have two negatives because -2 times -5 will give me a +10, but when I add them I will get -7. So -2 and -5 are our answers. So this becomes x minus 2 times x minus 5. And if we went through the process of double distributing all of that, we would get x squared minus 7x plus 10. So the factored version of that is x minus 2 times x minus 5. So hopefully you remember that. If not, maybe this jogs your memory a little bit. So on number 2, you can try it on your own real quick if you want to before I do it. But here I go. So hit pause if you need to. My multiply number is -12 and my add number is -1. What will do that? A +3 and a -4. So we get x plus 3 times x minus 4 for our factorization. Okay, and that's all there is to it. That must multiply and add. Bottoms up, whenever you had a lead coefficient that wasn't equal to 1, we'll look at that tomorrow. We'll do that on a separate day. But this today is just simply the basic multiply and add. Now, what you'll have to do is, for your homework, is simplify a rational expression. Again, a rational expression is a fraction. Well, we look at this fraction that we have and we realize all we've got here is in our numerator we've got a problem that like what we just did, and in our denominator we've got a problem like what we just did. So we have to do our multiply and add for top and bottom here. So on top our multiply number would be 6 and our add number would be -5. That would be a +1 and a -6. So the top of this fraction becomes x plus 1 times x minus 6. Again, I just look at that numerator, treat it like it's its own little problem. The denominator, our multiply number is -3 and our add number is -2. That'd be a -3 and a +1. So that'd be an x minus 3 and an x plus 1. Then what do we have here? We have the same factor in numerator and denominator, x plus 1. We have the same thing on top and bottom of a fraction. What do we get to do? Cancel those. So our final simplified answer to this is x minus 6 over x minus 3. So that's what your homework problems will be like. You'll just simply have to break apart numerator and denominator and look what you can cancel. Now remember, you cannot, here on number 4, some things you cannot do. You can't just jump in there and say, I'm going to cancel my x squared. You can't do that. Why can't you do that? Because that's not, say, an x squared on the bottom. That's an x squared minus 5x. And that's an x squared plus x minus 30 on top. So we can't just jump in there and cancel those x squareds. Or we cannot, also what we can't do is say 5 goes into 36 times. You cannot do that. So if you do that on your homework, I'm going to write you a note saying, hey, you didn't watch the video because I said you cannot do those. What do you have to do? Well, you have to look at them individually. So look at that numerator and say, what can I do to that? Well, you would say my multiply number is -30 and my add number is 1. Well, what would that be? 6 and -5. So that numerator breaks into x plus 6 times x minus 5. Then our denominator, what can we do? Well, that's a one from yesterday. That's a GCF. What's the GCF in there? X. They both have x's. So what would we do? We would take an x out of there and we get x times x minus 5. Now we can cancel the x minus 5 because one's in the numerator, one's in the denominator. And we get a final simplified answer of x plus 6 over x. So that's what your homework problems are like. Okay, so remember, so on your homework you need to be prepared to do multiply and add. GCF are difference of squares from yesterday. Okay. Now, see if I did it. Yep, there I did. There's you only have 2 homework problems. There they are. You can copy them out of the video or I will post the document. Okay, so day 2 of our last week is complete. See you Wednesday.